Hello everybody, my name is Nemanja Josic and Nicholas and Omar asked me to record this video about myself, talk about my experience at Lake Erie College, my career, some of the advice that I might have for you. And instead of answering their questions separately, I decided to answer them together. I hope this is okay. And I also decided to bucket their questions and answer each bucket individually instead of answering each single question. I thought that answering each single question might take a little too long. So the first bucket on my list is my story and who am I. So as I said, my name is Nemanja Josic, and I right now work as a global financial analyst in a company called Q Holding in Solon, Ohio. And my job right now on a day-to-day basis is to come in and stare in spreadsheets all day. And when I say this, I'm not joking. And while I stare in those spreadsheets, I consolidate the financials. I take pieces of the business and I put them together. And I analyze the results of the business to give management better insight into what they should do, what changes can be made, how can we save money, where are we losing money. And so I'm basically trying to help them answer all those questions and make right decisions. And one of the questions that I think Nicholas asked me was, what's my favorite part of the job? Well, my favorite part of the job is the analysis. My favorite part of the job is sitting down and doing the analysis and playing in Excel. When I start doing that, I feel like a kid at a playground. On the other hand, my least favorite part of the job is tasks that I think can be automated. In my personal opinion, and this is really bad, and I shouldn't be saying this, but in my personal opinion, about 40% of my job can be completely automated. And if somebody just came up with a right program to automate that part of the job, my salary can literally go down by 50%. The company wouldn't care. So doing those tasks can be really draining, and I don't like it. I like to come in every morning and do something different. When it comes to my education, I studied at Lake Erie College, and I graduated with a degree in finance and accounting. Initially, I came in the United States in 2013, and I came from Serbia. I used to play tennis, and I had luck that Lake Erie College offered me a scholarship to play tennis. Unfortunately, or luckily, depending on how you look at it, the college decided to cut the tennis team after 1 year of my experience. And at the time, I looked at this as an opportunity. I said, okay, I will not be able to play tennis anymore, but at least I'll be able to expose myself to internships and learn. And I wanted to study accounting because one of my idols at the time was Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett said, if you want to understand business, you need to understand accounting. And Warren Buffett at the time was the second richest man in the world. I believe he's third now. And I said, if the second richest man in the world tells me I should know accounting, I better go and learn accounting. And before I had this job of a global financial analyst, my career path started in accounting tutoring in the, what was it called? The tutoring center at Lake Erie College, where I was tutoring accounting. And then I got an internship at Lake Erie College, then I got a job at Parker Hannifin, then I got a different job at a CPA company. And basically I was experimenting. I wanted to know, how does it feel to work at a big company? How does it feel to work at a small company? And I settled work, and I'm working for this organization, which is, we have about 3,000 employees. And what I've learned on my journey is that there are 4 or 5 important things, no matter in what career you are. Number 1 is to focus on bringing value to the company. What your employer cares about is not, they do care about how you dress. Some of them Some of them want you to wear ties. But what they care about truly is that you bring value to the company. And as long as you bring value to the company, as long as you bring more value to the company than they're paying you, they will keep you and promote you and maybe pay even more. And you really need to focus and find ways to bring value to the company. And you can do that by working as hard as you can, as smart as you can. The second thing that's important is not to be afraid. Fear is our evolution has programmed us to fear things because in certain instances, evolutionary speaking, had we failed, we would have died. And the only people that survived were the people that were afraid and didn't engage in risky behavior. So if you feel fear, if you fear approaching somebody at a career fair, just remember that fear is an evolutionary baggage that you're carrying, and just think to yourself, okay, think rationally. If I approach this guy and he tells me no, what am I losing? I'm not losing anything. The other 2 or 3 things that are important are to ask questions and to learn fast. Nobody's expecting you to walk into the door tomorrow and to know everything. In fact, they're expecting completely the opposite. And your greatest strength can be learning fast and asking questions. If you're asking the right questions and if you're asking the right people, you will learn, you will grow, and you will be able to bring more value to the company quicker, which is what truly everybody cares about. The last thing that's important, in my opinion, is that you I can't pronounce that, it seems. All right, you know what I mean. You gotta I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. yourself with technologies of the day. In my case, that was Excel. And what Excel brought to me was the ability to turn data quickly. Since I'm a financial analyst and I used to be even a controller right when I started after college, I got offered that somehow. It brought me the ability to take data in and get somebody a report really quickly. And I was able to automate certain aspects of the job and to help them be more efficient, to help even other employees be more efficient. That's really it. One of the questions that Nicholas asked was, what is the strangest story at a workplace and what is the lesson from it? And the strangest story I have comes from Park Hanford. I worked there reviewing the expense reports, and one day somebody comes to me and says, hey, look, this guy's paying for the same restaurant every single month, $500. Can you look into it? I look into it, and it turns out to be a brothel. I know, not appropriate for the class, perhaps. And what surprised me was, I brought it to my boss, she brought it to her boss. We faced the employee and told them, we know what you've been doing. What's surprising is that they didn't choose to fire him. And the reason they didn't choose to fire him, they just asked him to pay them the money back. And the reason they didn't choose to fire him is the guy at the top said, this guy is bringing too much value, don't fire him. So back to one of the things I said, if that might be a funny way to remember it, but bring value. The last bucket is what I called knowledge tips. What are some of the important things you should know? What are the important theories that will be useful in the workplace? The most important thing in my career has been reading. I love to read. And if you don't like to read, you can watch videos, listen to audiobooks, watch documentaries, read articles online. But reading allows you to take something in, process it, and It will allow you to improve your thinking. It will allow you to get more efficient. Also, one of the other things that I think is important and that people don't really learn enough about is what's called game theory. Game theory is a mathematical way of analyzing decision making. It's a scientific, quote unquote, way of analyzing decision making. And one of the most important concepts in game theory is that there are two types of games. There are zero-sum games and there are positive-sum games, I think. So zero-sum games are the games where in order for you to win, somebody else has to lose. And the best example of a zero-sum game is, basketball game or or basketball tournament. In order for one team to win, the other team has to lose. That's a zero-sum game. A positive-sum game is a game where you can create value for everybody. The example that comes to mind is, for example, Google. Google came to market. You no longer had to go to the library, Google stuff. Libraries had access to Google. Like, everybody gets better because Google exists and they're adding value to the marketplace. And so you want to participate and you want to engage in your workplace in positive-sum games, and you don't want to be part of zero-sum games. And you want to find ways to benefit everybody and grow the organization. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. The last thing I would like to leave you with is, if you have time, read the book The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. And this book is important because it will help you put things in terms of evolutionary perspective. For example, I talked earlier about fear and how fear is our evolutionary baggage. Once you have a glimpse into the origin of species and the evolutionary theory, it will become easier to analyze things through that lens. And you'll see certain things where you would otherwise, you'll make better decisions and you will avoid making irrational decisions. That's all. That's really all. And I wish you all the luck. Stay safe. I hope you enjoyed watching this and have fun. La 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 la.